quick good morning to you right here on Channels Television. The show is called The Morning Brief, your perfect morning starter. Bukola will say it. Welcome to the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.
It's great to be here again. Good morning and welcome. I am Bukola Koka.
Well, it's the day after May the 29th, the day after we switched to the new old national anthem. I could go on and on, but we're live for you in Lagos. I'm Karadoki Kundu.
Somebody tweeted and said it's obnoxious, it's an obnoxious law. It's almost vexatious. I'm trying to use the word carefully. I don't really know.
Why? What part of it?
Yeah, I don't know. They just feel like, different people have different opinion about the law. Others are saying is the optics are not right, it's not necessary. The other law was written, the new old national anthem.
The old new
national anthem was written by non-Nigerian. This was written by a Nigerian. Others are condemned. The people that are proposing the change, that proposed the change, said the Arise will come. It's too military in their tone and
it was written by Nigerian.
But it was written by a Nigerian.
During a military regime.
So for what was really wrong with the national
was
anthem?
it written by a military official?
Well, we need to find that out.
That's a very good question. I know that the band, I think the police band was involved in composing it, and I remember the name. He passed on in the early 90s.
Yes, I remember. The name hasn't crossed my mind.
Who wrote composed the national anthem. So, I mean, it was written.
The now new old national anthem.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the former national anthem. Come on.
So there's a lot to talk about that national anthem. Some people are saying this is not the right time. Whether the intentions are good or not, this is not the perfect time. Top on people's minds is security, the economy. The numbers are in red. They're highly bearish. The economic policy is biting hard. We're hoping that it's going to get better. National anthem is, but some people are saying it's politicians. And all of that. But hey, we'll take it maybe later on the show, because we know you said a lot about the national anthem. But guys, how was it? How was your May 29th?
Well, for me, it's the multiplicity of opinions as far as, the performance of the administration is concerned in almost all sectors of national life that we have reviewed. In the judiciary sector, the administration was awarded a pass mark in terms of effort, but result is what still leaves much to be desired. In the area of economy, of course, you would know that without the assessment in the first place, there seems to be a consensus where the administration's performance is concerned. But in other areas, in some areas too, the administration received a pass mark. So that tells you what democracy is all about. The best argument against democratic ideals is when you have a conversation with an average voter. That's one of one quote that I like to reflect upon. So it depends on who you're talking with, really, before you make your conclusion. So for me, it's the beauty of ideas, the convergence of ideas. But the important thing now is, where does it lead us to in terms of development? And it still leaves a question mark on whether or not democracy enhances development as against other ideals of democracy. Because if you consider that some authoritarian forms of government are producing development faster than democracies, if you look at some Asian countries and even some African countries also. Yeah.
Well, a big point really to be made. I'm really concerned for, and this is a sort of departure for students on the assembly ground today, because they'll have to sing the national anthem. I'm also concerned for the Super Eagles, because they have just a few weeks to learn the national anthem for the next match. I'm concerned for those who will be attending events this morning, because they will have to play the national anthem and most likely have to sing along. I'm concerned for people who go for interviews and the interviewer will just have a brainwave and say, you know what, sing the new national anthem as one of the prerequisites. We've seen that before. So I wish all of you the very best. You still have a few minutes, hopefully, to learn that anthem before the meeting starts or before assembly starts. All the best to you.
Well, or you could just go to Kayade's X handle. He's taught us the national anthem, at least the first verse of it, and then you can learn it pretty fast. Jeffrey is still uncooperative as far as the anthem is concerned.
It's just difficult. Everybody's reality is not the same, and you cannot take away somebody being a witness of his own reality, which is what Nigerians are really all about. So at the end of the day, a law is a law. It's been signed by the president. We just have to obey as what it is, but that doesn't mean you cannot raise your objection, which is what democracy is really all about. But the law is the law. So in case you're doubting, it's been signed into law. What was curious for a lot of people was the speed with which it was passed. Where were the... Well, let's tell you what we have for you on the show today. It's the day after the one-year anniversary of President Bola Tinubu, which incidentally coincided with the Fourth Republic Silver Jubilee. Down the line, is there anything we set to celebrate? We examine the failures as well as the successes of Tinubu-led government in the past year with those in the know.
And that's not all. Nigeria is arguably gaining its place in the technology ecosystem with unicorns springing up intermittently. That's despite the odds. So today on the program, we speak to one of the sector's shining lights who helps us get a seat on the table. Hopefully, if you're young, now is the best time for you to watch television.
Absolutely. Plus, we've seen people participate in reality TV shows, but afterwards, they go off radar. But some find spaces to plug in their talents and skills to stay relevant, from acting to singing to business. And as you can see, Soma joins us for up-and-close conversation.
Yes, that's not all. Remember, we'll get there with you. CTV Morning Brief is the handle on X. So, hey, whatever you're saying about whatever is happening, whether you're talking about the anthem in Nigeria or the elections in South Africa, we're here to cover all of that grounds for you. But we'll take this quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you your top stories. Join us again. Top on the brief this morning is a possibility to increase Nigeria's spending limit, given the announcement by the president that he will be forwarding a supplementary bill to the legislature. President Bola Tinubu said this during his remark at a joint session of the National Assembly, where he visited to commission the NAS Library and witnessed the singing of the old national anthem following his assent to the bill that the country now reverts to Nigeria We Hail Thee as an anthem. He also believes that Nigeria will not be fixed by foreign aid, but a collective citizens' decision to come together to do just that.
See, this is our diversity. We have no other choice. It is our nation. No one, no age, no other institution or personality will help us. We are walking the talk. I will soon bring the 2024 appropriation bill. That is just for your information.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives was divided over the issue of mercenaries to combat terrorism and kidnappings in the country. Some lawmakers fear that it will breed more insecurity, while others believe it will complement the actions and the efforts of security agencies. Meanwhile, the House has also passed a resolution to investigate the mass retrenchment in the central bank.
Look at the areas most prone to insecurity today in Nigeria, and you compare them with the statistics on the degree or percentage of poverty established by world bodies, you will discover that the places most affected by insecurity today in Nigeria are the poorest part of Nigeria. They are the least educated part of Nigeria. Fact.
I fully support all the contributions and ask that we take a day for us to discuss this issue of insecurity on the floor of this House, and perhaps declare or urge the executive arm to declare an emergency on insecurity.
I would suggest, just like the minority leader pointed out, we choose a date to handle only the issue of insecurity.
I urge us to at least look at the alternative of bringing in mercenaries to assist our existing military and other agents of coercion on ground to end insecurity in the country.
We agreed that what we are fighting is asymmetric war. It is not a normal war war that you can invite mercenaries that you are comparing to Ukraine and the other country. These are wars that is not known to the system. So please, inviting mercenaries will create more insecurity for us in the future.
That's the beauty of democracy, everybody having their say. Let's get to other stories now. In the judiciary, where the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, and the Chief Judge of Kano State High Court, Justice DJ Aboki, have been summoned by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, who is the Chairman of the National Judicial Council, Justice Lukayode Ariwoola, for an emergency meeting in his chambers today, May the 30th, 2024. A statement by the NJC's Director of Information said the meeting, which is a prelude to a whole-scale investigation by the NJC, is to enable the CJN have a proper briefing with the two chief judges on the very disturbing development and the conflicting judgment emanating from the Federal High Court and the Kano State High Court of Justice with respect to the stool of the Emir of Kano. There are strong indications that the National Judicial Council will also conduct an emergency meeting next week, where the particular judges concerned are likely to be invited and subjected to serious investigations. And same with legal matters, a Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has again ordered the interim forfeiture of the sum of $1.4 million linked to the former governor of the central bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. Justice Ayokunle Faji ordered the forfeiture of the money to the federal government of Nigeria. The judge also ordered the EFCC to publish the interim forfeiture order in a national daily for anyone interested in the money sought to be forfeited to appear before the court and show cause within 14 days, while the final forfeiture of the said sum should not be made. The court made the above orders while granting an ex parte application moved by the counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Mr. Bilikisu Buhari Bala. The money forfeited in the interim is said to be in Donatone Limited's account and domiciled in Titan Bank Limited. Justice Faji has adjourned the matter to June the 25th for hearing of the final forfeiture of the money. The former president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, says the country's economy can perform better if those saddled with the task of governance at all levels focus on projects that will stimulate growth and attract investment. Chief Obasanjo stated this shortly before commissioning the Jimeta grade interchange constructed by Governor Amadu Fintri of Adamawa State to ease traffic flow in Yola, the state capital.
Here you have three facilities on the same. You have an underpass, you have an overbridge, you have and then a road that goes on Nana ground. Three, one. You are doing so well, and that's why I've come. You are doing so well that you must continue to do well, because the sky is the limit. I won't say more than that.
Meanwhile, the former military head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, retired, has charged Nigeria's leaders at all levels to lead with the fear of God and abide by the tenets of democracy. He explains that it is the only way to sustain the 25-year of unbroken democracy. General Abubakar was given a special recognition award for his contributions to democracy at an event urged Nigerians to always embrace peace and dialogue in the interest of democracy. And let's tell you that the federal government has again insisted that the fuel subsidy, this has been business now, has ended in Nigeria, contrary to claims in several quarters that the official confirmation, that's the official confirmation coming from the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Einikan Lekpulpobiri. He gave the information on our special program marking the first year of President Bola Tinubu's administration. The minister also highlighted some of the expectations awaiting the country's oil and gas sector in the later parts of the year.
Let me say categorically that the president on his, as rightly, said, on the day he was sworn in, he said subsidy is gone. President was misunderstood, clearly. The last government, Buhari's government, did not make any provision for subsidy in the 2023 budget. Whether anybody said it or not, subsidy was gone. But the president, in his characteristic style of speaking truth, was to say, look, in the last 2023 budget, there is no provision for subsidy, so subsidy is gone. And I can confirm to you that subsidy is gone. But that doesn't mean that, from time to time, there could be strategic intervention from time to time. In the last 1 decade, there has been no investment in the oil and gas sector. Reason? The PIA took longer than expected to be passed, and so there was no stable governance regulatory framework. When this government came, we've been able to rekindle the confidence of the investing community. And I can assure you that between now and the end of the year, we'll do much more than $20 billion. I can assure you that. And the reason why this is happening is because investors now have confidence that there is a stable regulatory framework. The President himself has signed some executive orders that are targeted at ensuring and assuring the public that, look, Nigeria is ready for business.
Well, it appears Israel's war on Hamas may continue to the end of 2024 if the projection by the conflict, or for the conflict by the Prime Minister's National Security Advisor, Zachi Hanegi, is anything to go by. Mr. Hanegi claims Israel's military has taken control of about 75% of the buffer zone along the Gaza-Egypt border as assault continues on Rafah. In the meantime, residents of the southern city of Rafah are reporting more Israeli airstrikes. Let's now talk sports. Bayern Munich have just appointed Burnley boss Vincent Kompany as their new head coach on a 3-year deal. Kompany replaces Thomas Tuchel after departed at the end of the season. Tuchel had to leave, with Bayern agreeing to a compensation fee of around £10.2 million with Burnley. His deal comes despite his enduring a tough season at the top more after the Clarets were relegated from the Premier League. So that's how things play out in the world of sports, as well as other sports stories. Hey, but those are the stories we've been tracking for you, say, in the last 24 hours, as always. And it was just part of our conversation for the show and the rest of the day. Bukola now joins me to bring us what you've been talking about on X. Bukola.
Yes, well done, Jeffrey. One of the stories that we should be paying attention to is the House of Reps debate on whether or not to deploy the services of mercenaries to combat terrorism, banditry, insurgency in Nigeria's north. Indeed, it's an acknowledgement of the weight, indeed the magnitude of the challenge. And if we consider, the trajectory of the deployment of mercenaries to combating warfare, we recorded some successes in the recent past, I believe under the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan. But at what cost is it? And some of the time, does government actually adhere to some of the recommendations, foreign mercenaries in the fight against insurgency? So we should be paying close attention to the outcome of this. And Jeffrey, by the way, will there be, a speedy consideration of this proposition, as we have seen the consideration of the bill proposing the return to the old new national anthem?
We've seen a lot of speed in the National Assembly in certain bills, not even in the 10th Assembly. I think we saw one in the 8th Assembly, we saw one, I think, in the 9th Assembly. And now we've seen this very expeditious passage for the national anthem. And some people are saying this is suspect. But it's a law, whether we like it or not. The legislators have done their job in their own wisdom. The president has signed and assented to that bill. It's now a law. Let's see how it plays out. But you are saying a lot on X. Abdullahi Umar Zama says the long-awaited national anthem bill that will solve the issues of insecurity, hunger, corruption, and create job opportunity has been officially signed by the president.
That's quoted with a lot of sarcasm. Well, this one is from Ayo, that Ondo boy, who says, as for me, yes, that's it, I'm in support of this old national anthem. Oh, Tinubu, you do this one, no. Now let's sign to bill the old exchange rate, old food price to us at the time of the old national anthem.
So Nigerians
Another one quoted with sarcasm.
Nigerians are not happy, apparently, for a lot of them. Omia Box says, instead of going back to the colonial anthem, the federal government should have asked Nigerians to submit proposed anthems that would resonate with the current dispensation. Do we have to always go back as a nation? Big question.
Big question there. This one is from Bami. He has just 2 lines for the government, and he says, now billions of naira will be spent in the name of training Nigerians to learn and sing the anthem. That's from Bami.
All right, Ndudi Osakwe says, those asking what difference does it make? It makes a difference. Students drunk on Friday night at the night sub sing both stanzas of this anthem. Aluta students sing it. NSAS protesters sang it. Nigerians rise to the anthem during National during international football matches, there's something about the old anthem, Nigeria, we hail thee.
Well, we have a vox pop from reactions from Nigerians.
Yes, before we take that vox pop, let's take what Pato Ena says. This government is never implementing policies that will alleviate the poverty in the economy, or do they think hungry people sing the national anthem? So let's take a listen to what you've been saying on the streets.
I don't remember that again. So, when I listen to it, just I remember when I was in primary school, going back from my mother's house taking me to school. I remember this it's wonderful. I think I prepared to this.
Can you sing it, sir? Please sing it.
I just said that I can't even know how to sing it.
Please sing it for us.
I will bite my tongue.
When I saw the news, I was not really sure why we were reverting back. I actually think the Ministry of Orientation, if there's any functional one, should give us a brief, enlighten the public on why we are reverting back to the old anthem, because I don't know the reason why, and as a Nigerian, I do not really understand why.
Do you know it? Can you sing it? Just try.
I don't even know what it is. I have no idea what it is. I know the current national anthem. I know the pledge. I even know the second stanza, but this old one, I don't even think I was born when they were using that.
What would the Gen Zs now say? Like,
well, they've got to learn it because, you know, in public events, you know, just as the call to the old national anthem, new national anthem was, you have to sing the new old national anthem, you know, in public events, and, you know, do the salute and, you know, the call to honor the national anthem as we all do. You know, so
I guess some people may just be quiet. It may just be quiet now when we sing national anthem.
I think we have more reactions.
We have more reactions to the national anthem.
Changing an anthem when we have insecurity around the corner, we have hunger, people are striving to look out for what to eat. There's hunger in the town, and then the only thing that brings to the table is having to change our national anthem as well. For me, generally, or me personally, I don't think that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a lot. So the older generation, those who were there before 78 and all of that, they could go, we used to sing when we were in school. We grew up singing Arise O Come. Now they're taking away our Arise.
And Jeffrey, even some of the older...
us, Nigeria, we hail thee. So maybe the little kids at home, maybe they have, I don't know.
Even some of the old generation cannot remember the entire 3 stanzas of the old new national anthem anymore, you know, so it says quite a lot. And some of the verses of the old national anthem, you know, some of the lines, you know, bears resemblance with the new national anthem. For instance, there's a line that says something about, "Oh God of creation." There's a prayer in the old new national anthem as well. You know,
some are even criticizing that line that says,
"Though tribe and tongue."
Native land, not though tribe and tongue. Now
some even query that as well.
Native land, native something. That itself, they suggest is a bit colonial, but inaccurate. Anyway. Okay, but whatever. People have a right to their views. Okay, it's democracy. Do you like the anthem? Do you like the idea? Whether you like it or not, unfortunately, you will have to learn to sing it because it is now a law. But that doesn't stop you from saying what you want to say, which is why we're here, okay? Let's find out other things going on. CJN summons Kano Chief Judge, federal judge over conflicting court orders. We've seen what played out in Kano concerning the emirship. So, Abdul Wahab Usman Garba says, act now and call the federal chief judge to order because the chieftaincy affairs is not under his jurisdiction.
Well, this one is from Omoba, who says Nigerians are waiting for the outcome of the summons. Nigerian constitutions must be upheld over personal interests. And he ends by saying, may Nigeria succeed.
Amen. Nazifi Abdullahi Shekare, call yourself police_boy. We play too much in this country. Lastly, we must all respect constituted authority. Governor is a chief security officer of this state. Also, governor is responsible for issuing certificate of king to kings and emirs in the state, not the federal government.
Well, that's a very critical point there. Damilare Odulesi says the judiciary system of Nigeria is in shambles. This is the worst of it ever in the history of this country. Well, debatably, Damilare, there are other views to consider as far as work there is concerned. He continues by saying, before now, they used to say the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. I believe that's what he intends to say. But he ends by asking, how did we get there?
JB says, CJN summons County Chief Judge. Who will summon him for appointing his own son? I don't know about this. As a federal judge, his brother is staff of this SC, Supreme Court, and his daughter-in-law also a judge. So the argument is always if they are qualified, why not, if not? But we can't speak for them, and all of that.
So let's go to another talking point, and this time Nigerians are talking about the president making Abuja light rail free till December. And the first one is from Aramide, who says, it is a laudable initiative by President Tinubu to allow commuters enjoy free ride of the newly inaugurated Abuja light rail till December. The idea will ease the pains of transportation and subsidy removal in the FCT and serve as a platform of delivering dividends of democracy.
P. Adair says, this is commendable. This is going to go a long way in easing transportation fare in Abuja metropolis.
And Safety Cabal says, some relief to the resident of the 25% FCT Abuja. we get you there.
Yeah, Love Global says, good, it may reduce transport costs.
And lastly, this one is from Inuwali, who says, take a loan for a railway project, then give 7 months free ride. Meanwhile, interest is accruing on the loan.
All right, we can move on to others now.
Can you satisfy Nigerians, Jeffrey?
Wow. Well, that shows that we have a critical mind. However you come, Nigerians are thinking through the line. So, the court orders forfeiture of $1.4 million linked to the former CBN governor. You've been reacting. Alani Yeyemi says, please, when is the court going to jail him? Well, he has to go through prosecution and adjudication and all of that. Or is he going to be forfeiture alone? If he were to be an ordinary citizen, would have had the years of jail term, or is the law different for some people in the country? Well, the lawyer will take his course. He's still under adjudication.
And this one's from John Deere, who has just one line. Anything that is linked to him, they should just collect it. But he still has his fundamental human rights as an individual.
As a matter of fact, Evo_Evo says Emefiele did like Abacha, stole as much as possible. We must say, allegedly, those authorities discovered they will recover. Those they can't recover will go to his family. Allegedly, we must say. It's an allegation.
Yes, he remains innocent until proven guilty. And this last one on this talking point is from Victor, who says, this man just sleazing allegedly again CBN all through his service. Now, wow.
Okay, the federal government's, okay, I think is that maybe that's all we can take on this particular one. But hey, keep your conversations, your thoughts coming through on X. As much as possible, we'll take it. But don't forget, we also have your WhatsApp number. Also send your videos as well as your messages, especially if you can sing the national anthem. Maybe sing the old one, sing the new one, sing the old new one, the new old one, just whatever. But you know that Nigeria Will Hail Thee is our official national anthem beginning from yesterday going forward.
Please help Jeffrey. Jeffrey needs to learn it.
I know a bit of it. It's just that my head is just wrapped around what I'm used to. We'll take this quick break. When we come back, we'll start our first conversation for the day. Join us again.
welcome back to the show. We're starting off with what happened yesterday. You know why? It's not just limited to one day. It's something we've been feeling for a year, and you still feel it for the next 3 years. So this conversation never really ends. 1 year into the Tinubu government, and someone will say, how far, so far? Well, we have joining us on the show this morning, particularly to talk about the tech economy. It's a big one. Lots of Nigerians are getting into it, doing great stuff. So we thought, how about we bring someone who has done great things? If you want to mention top names in Nigeria's tech ecosystem, you know what, scratch that. Africa's tech ecosystem. Let's even take it up. The global tech ecosystem. This name will feature. We have joining us on the show this morning, Inyolua Aboyeji, who is founding partner, Future Africa, also is a co-founder, Flutterwave and Della, done great things. Inyolua, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Break.
Thank you so much for having me here.
You know, going through your CV sometimes can be a tricky one because you have to. It's quite rich, absolutely. And we'll get into the work you do. But let's talk about this current administration. I know there's been a lot of commentary. You got involved to a large extent in politics to the extent that you presented this administration's digital economy blueprint, as it were. But talk to us about how you felt then and how you feel now. They say what you ordered versus what you got. How are you internalizing what's going on now?
Well, I mean, I like to look at my own involvement in politics really from a policy angle, right? It's just really important that people who are actually in business and executing are able to advise whatever the likely government will be, or any government, quite frankly, about what the right approach to leveraging the industry's strengths and also addressing the industry's weakness as far as national development is concerned. Right. And so that was why I had the honor of presenting, while it was still a campaign, the APC's policy manifesto for digital economy. And I'll say, you know, quite literally, I was telling a news publication the other day, I think it's just too early to measure anything, right? Ministers were appointed less than 9 months ago. I think the president did us extremely well by keeping his promise to ensure that somebody from digital economy ecosystem, who is in many ways our leader in digital economy ecosystem, was appointed. And I've liked the policy direction, but of course, policy is not the same thing as implementation, right. And that's really where the cookie, the rubber hits the road.
Absolutely. You talked about young Nigerians supporting this government. You had said that politics is over. Now it's time for people to rally around the government and support. But you know that there's still lots of bad blood, particularly coming off the election. So not every young person would receive that and say, okay, let me willingly, even though there's merit in what you said, because this is our nation. I know you had to leave X.
Yeah, well, I was going to leave X anyway. I've left many times before.
Was it as a result of the toxicity coming off the politics that we saw play out last year?
No, I actually, you know, ironically, I wasn't on X during the election.
Right.
Actually, I joined X after the election to rally support for the minister and to get young people to understand that we have a country to build, and the country extends beyond any single administration. And we have to start taking responsibility for the country, because we're now getting to the age where our children will blame us like we blame our parents for not taking necessary action. The people have spoken, the Supreme Court has spoken, we have made a decision, whether we like it or not, there is an administration in power, and that administration cannot be removed until the next elections in 2027, sorry. So whether we like it or not, we now have an administration. Quite frankly, if you ask me, the administration has made a lot of bold moves. We are a country that has pretended to be rich for the longest time, and by doing so, denied opportunities to young people for prosperity and productivity. When you look at the removal of the fuel subsidy, again, I know, painful decision. We feel the pain. I feel the pain personally. However, necessary, because we need to now usher in a new revolution in energy, in renewable energy. And many young people who are tapping into those opportunities are making money, right? Again, same thing with the removal with the food inflation. Again, tragic what it's doing to people. But again, creating opportunities, removing the subsidy. Right. On the dollar, for example, sorry. You know, that is now providing an opportunity for young people to get back into manufacturing, giving young people to get back into agriculture, right? The attendant rising inflation is something that can only be solved by increased production. Young people have to roll up their sleeves and get to work building a nation. They don't have the luxury of engaging in politics. That is something we have to leave to those people who just want a position for the sake of it. We as young people don't have that luxury. When they're going to leave, whether they like it or not, within the next 10 years, right, they have to leave office, whether God calls them home or some other way, right? And we have a country to build. So are we going to wait 10 years to get a country that's even more messed up than it is now before we start rolling up our sleeves and building? I don't think so.
Perhaps the point should be made that, you know, these opportunities that you talk about are circumstantial, not necessarily created by deliberate effort of the administration. I wonder if you agree with me on that. But that's not where I'm headed. I'd like to take you up on the appointment of the minister who was, you know, one of the big players in the tech industry, and there was excitement, you know, when he was appointed because the expectations were high that he was going to bring his expertise to bear. And you say that it's too early, too soon to assess the administration in that regard. But there are opportunities really to look at the work of the minister and his expertise. For instance, look at the startup law, how much of that has been brought to life, not just at the federal level now, but at the state level, due to his advocacy or deliberate response to challenging state governments. And what about the DICE funding that was prepared by the former administration? All of this seem to remain on paper so far, and it's been 1 year already.
Yeah, I mean, the minister has picked his priorities. It's very clear. His priorities are very simple, as I see them. Talent through the 3MTT program, the connectivity and broadband plan, and AI. And I think it's for the entire ecosystem and the country to align with those priorities. When a leader has picked his priorities, you align with the priorities the leader has picked. And there could be wisdom to it, right? For me, I look at IDICE, I look at the National Startup Plan. I think those things will still come. I know for IDICE, for example, it's something that is not entirely dependent on us. It's a loan Nigeria has to take. I'm not sure Nigeria is in a position to take many more loans, and I'm sure those considerations are playing out in how the execution has gone. But I think for the things that he has actually focused on, there has been considerable evidence of implementation, such as the 3MTT program. There are literally lots of people on social media that are posting, there's been a graduation of a class. This is something that has never happened before. This is where I started my career, helping young people to be able to achieve the talents they need to be useful in the global workforce, in the global marketplace. I think it's the bright starting point for any kind of administration. So even if you take that as the only achievement, it's more than has been done with this ministry for a very long time.
So there are two parts to the conversation. There's a part of, which is why I want you to break it down even further. There's one part of efforts moving the needle. We're a huge population. That's on one hand, which I want you to respond to. On the other hand is the fact that there is what the people need, and there's what you're presenting to the people, which is where politicians always get it wrong. Mm-hmm. They come with an idea, they force these ideas on some of us, and the people really don't need it, which is why some people may disagree with you that we can't just roll up our sleeve and allow the old guards run politics. One decision by the president, subsidy removal, we're feeling it. One decision by the president, we hail the Nigeria is our new national anthem. That's how powerful those positions are. And we can't just let it be. That's why young people have to rally. That's the argument. So my question is, what do we need within this system to really accelerate and scale that it will really move the needle?
We need more talent. All our problems are on the other side of talent that can solve them. And that's something I continually tell our policymakers and our people. It's not about money. Nigeria can borrow as much as it likes. If we cannot chart an energy independent future because people have the skills to be able to create power from the sun, we're not going to get to electricity. If we don't have the ability to grow our own food, we're never going to get food inflation down. Everything is on the other side of knowledge. And that's why I believe that the most important decisions that this administration can make are to essentially ensure that we're investing in human capital. Everything else is a useless exercise, in my opinion. You want to spend money on roads and then import Israelis to come build the roads, or people from, I don't know, wherever to come build the roads. How are you going to do it? Chinese to come build the roads? It wouldn't work. You need to, we have a lot of young people who have no jobs. How can they participate in building a road? That is the question we need to be asking ourselves. Everything we need is on the other side of human capital.
So just to follow up to that question, I listened to Kingsley Moghalu talk about gatekeepers. It's an economic term. Basically, when you have all of these natural resources and we seem to be locked in that natural resources and begin to fight around those resources, which is the cycle we found ourselves. But I'm saying that with something he mentioned, that the government of every state, for instance, has to look for a way to plug to a global agenda. Now, I'm talking this with respect to import substitution. Import substitution sometimes doesn't necessarily mean manufacture your own. It could be an element. So in terms of the tech space, when you look at the world, which is where you're operating, in the agenda of the president, he talked about tech manufacturing, looking at smartphones and all of that. Must we make our own phones to be able to be part of the system or the ecosystem, or we must look for, maybe, look at Toyota, for instance. Sorry, I mentioned names. Some of these cars, they have like 10,000 parts and all of that, and they're assembled in different parts of the world. What should we be looking at to be able to plug in?
I mean, realistically, anybody who's talking about tech manufacturing is most likely really talking about tech assembly, given where we are. We don't produce silicon in this country. We don't make most of the chips in this country. We don't even have the human capital to do,
which is what you always talk about.
Which is, again, tech is not something that you can just make just because you can dig something out of the ground, right? You have to have the skills to actually build the tech. So I think, but however, the primary way a lot of these people are learning these things is via computers, via mobile phones, and the demand is insane. Can we create jobs by taking the elements, the semi-knockdown parts, creating assembly plants where people can assemble them locally? I think that should be common sense. The administration's budget probably has easily a provision for close to easily 100,000 computers. There's no reason why we should deny ourselves jobs and give those jobs to another country to assemble the computers. That can feed a family. You understand what I'm saying? So I think it makes sense for us to focus on these jobs that are mass scale and give people a rung up the ladder. We have to be very commonsensical and practical and pragmatic about how these things need to work. It's not just about criticizing for the sake of criticizing.
Interesting. I'm faced with two options now, and I'm trying to choose which one to talk about artificial intelligence and how we can leverage. Hopefully that can help us leapfrog. So yes, we missed the Industrial Revolution, sort of, but we have something on our hands.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about your story, because Bukola said something earlier on. The opportunities you talked about, are they circumstantial or deliberate, as a result of deliberate efforts by government? Your story is revolutionary. It's the story people tell a lot to show what can happen with Nigeria. But was yours circumstantial, or it was as a result of a deliberate effort? Because young people will be watching and thinking, I want to be like A, for example. I want to have a unicorn eventually, and I'm working hard. What is your story? How does it align with that question, circumstantial or deliberate effort?
You know, at the end of the day, only God controls the universe. So if somebody says deliberate, I'll ask you, how deliberate can you possibly be? Now, does that mean it was circumstantial entirely? Perhaps not, right? There's a bit of deliberate effort that goes into these things. But if I told you, if I came, I started working in this country 10 years ago, right? When I moved back from the University of Waterloo.
You were 23 then?
Yes, I was 23 then. And if somebody had told me this is where I'll be 10 years later, I'd have told you, obviously, you're a joker, right? However, by the grace of God, primarily, and then through deliberate effort and hard work and being very long-term focused and being willing to take some pretty rational risks, if you think about it, that is what led us to where we are. And that's how the world works. The opportunities you'd never create. You don't have the power to create opportunities. But here we are. We are in a situation where the country is steeped full of problems. Exactly how it was when I came back. When I was starting my first business, we failed, right? And at the time Mandela was starting, we had Ebola. At the time Florida Wave was starting, we had a currency crisis, right? After 10 years of stable exchange rates, the exchange rates went south, almost 500, right? So
you started during difficulties.
During very difficult times.
Is that why Mandela rhymes with Ebola?
Yeah, we were trying to rhyme with Mandela. But but you know, and during MOVE, which was another one of our ventures, we started in the middle of COVID. So we have been thrown real curveballs through no fault of our own. I do not deny that. I'm not denying the reality that these are not necessarily circumstances we planned for. But here they are, and they're not going anywhere. What are we as Nigerian youth going to do about it?
You know, your story just proves my point that, you know, you took advantage of challenges. You saw, instead of the challenges, you saw opportunity, you know, and your success is due to your own effort that you wielded from within. So it wasn't as a result of a deliberate policy of the administration. And that's why I'm going to take you up again on the work of the minister, because it's an important area to explore because of what Jeffrey says about how powerful you know, policy legislation is to move the needle. You talked about the minister picking his priorities, you know, but then again, he wields influence. If you consider his work just before he became minister, his engagement with Bill Gates, you know, during that all-important entreport of meeting with young tech people. And then again, tie that to the importance of the telecom sector in galvanizing the tech space in the country. You know, but they're set to increase tariffs because of a whole gamut of regulation problems, taxes, you know, destruction of infrastructure. And they say that, look, working in this space is not realistic if they have these Herculean challenges. So my question is, as a result of all of this, how important is the action or inaction of the minister to all of these challenges? And what's he doing? And can we also assess him by some of these results that we're seeing?
So I can't tell you what the minister is doing because clearly I'm not. I'm not the minister, and I want to be honest about that, right? I'm a bystander, very much like everybody else. However, I do think that the correct response to challenges is not necessarily government policy, right? I think first of all, innovators have to get in the ring. And for me, I think there is an opportunity to innovate with the telecoms players, right? Perhaps they need to retake another look at the operating structure. They're some of the biggest gas guzzlers in this country, right? They send diesel. Why wouldn't their costs go up? Can they invest in renewable infrastructure and at least make our society a little bit more green as they do so? There are opportunities for innovation that raising prices on already impoverished and crushed Nigerians wouldn't necessarily solve. And we have to understand the pressures on the other side of these arguments. Is it necessary that MTN, a ₦1 trillion company, makes a little bit more money, right, than people who need to communicate every day just so they can get their job done because they can't go to the office every day? Actually can afford the data they need to put food on the table in a time of high inflation? I think we have to balance this argument. I'm not for, I mean, God bless MTN, God bless them, but I think they can afford a little bit of a loss and innovate their way to profit. I don't think average Nigerians can afford another rise in data costs just so they can get to work.
All right. Okay. So I'll go back to the agenda. Because I always believe that you cannot judge a man for what he did not say. So we look at the books of, I call it the manifesto playbook. There's something that was said, and I want you to speak to it. Talking about broadband by 2025. The reason for this question is because if you get this,
yes,
issues of communication, security, election management, population management,
yes,
better planning, there's a lot that can happen. As a matter of fact, sometime first quarter or towards middle of between first and second quarter, we'll get the election date for the next election.
Yeah.
And the conversation will immediately change. Nobody, so sadly. So they say we'll ensure that the national broadband plan to deliver broadband services to 90% of the population is achieved by 2025. Was this a political statement or this is achievable?
Well, look, you campaign in poetry and you govern in prose. However, like I said, it's very clear that it's a priority of the government, right?
Yeah.
The minister has made several pronouncements, bold pronouncements about broadband. And I know that he's actively, because I'm in touch with foreign investors, actively working on this $2 billion SPV, right, to make sure that that promise is delivered. I think it's commendable that they're even taking it seriously, because they're not the first to promise that, right? Buhari promised us broadband coverage. Jonathan promised us broadband coverage. In fact, the 2012 broadband, the broadband plan was launched in 2012.
There you go.
Right? So here we are, more than 10 years after the fact, and at least one person is making it a priority for them to take action. If they're late by a year, I can forgive them.
Can I ask a quick follow-up to that? Why is the administration in this regard prioritizing securing loan for infrastructure rather than loan for capacity building for the young startups in the industry?
I don't think the startups need capacity building, if I can be very honest. In fact, if I can be blunt, I think it's a waste of time. The truth is there is capital, but there's a need for human capital. If you give founders another 100 million, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get more flutterwaves and moves and pay stacks and all that. In fact, I would argue they should go on the local markets like everybody else. There are local investors that have money. If their businesses are really worth the money, they should be able to take capital from angel investors like we're going to do on Friday with Accelerate Demo Day. That's what they should do. Government should not be funding startups. Now, should they be funding young people to learn more software? Should they be funding young people to be able to be able to learn the skills, critical AI skills to contribute to the global economy? That's money well spent. But loans for startups, I think that's a bad idea.
I think that's what you said about capacity building, right? To help the startups build capacity. I think that's what you
3MTT, for example, I think is trying to build capacity for the actual people who will work in the
what
startups.
is 3MTT for those who don't know?
Fantastic. So 3MTT is a program that was announced by the minister after consultation with the industry. 3 million, with a goal of 3 million technical talent over the next 3 years, right? Right now, I think they're
3 million technical talent.
Okay. Right. So right now, I think they're up to 1.8 million, right? Which is pretty impressive, if you ask me, right? And I think that program can be revolutionary. It can be as revolutionary as India's investment in IITs, which predated the outsourcing industry. Because as somebody who's been in this sector for 10 years, right? The biggest problem we've always had is our human capital interventions cannot scale without government. Right? So we did 100,000 at Andela, but that's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket.
That's 100,000 talent.
Yes, 100,000 talent. But that's a drop in the bucket.
So we want to be, because of what we're trying to deal with and solving problem here.
Yeah.
So when you say, for instance, what Andela did with 100,000, what kind of skills are we talking about here?
Software development skills, data science skills. We did quite a bit of Salesforce as well. So more like CRM, customer relationship management, design, especially product design. I think we also, we did some DevOps, developer operations. And those were the 5 skills that we actually trained a lot of people in, with partnership with Google and Microsoft and so on. But it was a drop in the bucket, right? We tried again with Empower, which we designed in the last administration. It was an utter failure because the administration simply had no interest, right? And so here we are trying it again. And I think this is the effort that has gone the furthest. Is it perfect? No, there's still a lot of work to do.
But at least you have an insight.
But you have something in.
I need to talk about, or we need to talk about AI. In fact, this is a conversation we should have on the whole show.
AI guy.
And I know you love AI as well.
I think AI is fundamental to this country's progress in the future.
There you go. So I think we missed the, as I said, industrial revolution and the rest. But this one, we've not missed the bus just yet.
I don't know. If Nigerians' reaction to AI continues to be one of credulity, then we might miss the bus.
So what should we be doing as a government and as a people? I jokingly ask people that will they trust AI with government funds rather than the politician?
I would.
People said but what should we be doing with AI?
Well, I think the first step is to build capacity, as always, right? Nothing runs without human capital. And I'm so impressed. One of the things that really impressed me about 3MTT was that the first course you take, because I actually I'm one of the participants myself. The first course, I signed up and I did the course.
Capacity.
I'm building capacity too.
You're going back to the point of building capacity.
Yeah.
So either you're building talent capacity or you're building capacity in expertise. You're still building capacity.
You have to build.
So
He's building a YC. I don't know why you're building
ways.
capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. But you see, the thing was, they introduced everybody to AI in that course. So that's 1.8 million young people who are being introduced to basic concepts in AI. If you ask me, I think from primary school, we should introduce every child to AI, because that is the only way we can guarantee or secure a future where we are not excluded from it. In AI, there's something we call the human in the loop. So no matter how crazy the AI is, there's just like, you can get it up to like 90% on sort of a series of automated actions, but there's always that 10% that requires some level of human judgment, either in terms of refining or correcting or adapting or fine-tuning. You need a human being in the loop. There's no reason why that human being cannot be an African. And that is the goal. That should be the goal of any responsible government, to make sure that all our people are so AI compliant that they can be that human being fine-tuning those models.
Just as we wind down, sorry, Bukola. On the other side of AI, is AI going to be anti-scholarship rigor?
No, actually, I think it will add scholarly rigor, right? Because now, going into a library and searching for a reference is not work. It's until you read the actual thing that it is work. So having people type into Google and build expertise searching links instead of accessing on demand the information they need to actually make decisions and think makes no sense. So I think it would not be anti-scholarly rigor. It would deepen scholarly rigor, because there will be a baseline increase in productivity, where if you read a scholarly work, just like before Google, there were certain things you could take for granted. But now, after Google, there are certain things you can't take for granted, right? And I think it will be the same with the AI.
And as Kayode said, if that AI, we're going to be trusting him with our money, we hope that human loop is somebody that can be trusted.
Well, I'm sure if AI controlled our government's finances, the human in the loop will be somebody who has no choice but to be honest.
I have the recommendation. Maybe we'll start around customs collecting.
I think we should.
That should be a good one.
So there you go. Maybe there could be even a political party, AI. Maybe people will trust AI. But as we wind down, because this is a very important conversation, I think it's what will shape the next few years of our nation. We talked about your journey, which is quite vital. I don't know if you see more unicorns coming up under the current current realities we find ourselves. How much of them do you see coming up, and what must we do to ensure that we don't stop with you, that we keep replicating?
Absolutely. I mean, we are a country that is filling to the brim with challenges, and that's the perfect time for startups, because what startups are supposed to do is up-level our general productivity by solving problems. So whether it's problems in energy, I'm seeing a lot of renewable energy companies, a lot of electric cars, whether it's problems in productivity, looking at agricultural productivity, food innovation productivity, food tech. There's a lot of opportunities, and we're investing in that ourselves by putting half of our 40 billion naira fund to work in Nigeria. And on Friday, we're having demo day. We've selected 10 startups, 6 from Nigeria, 4 from outside of Nigeria, all of whom have incredible innovations that are solving practical Nigerian problems. And we're going to go to the capital markets to raise the money. We're not asking government for a dime. Government has not sponsored us. The only government that has sponsored us is the very good government of the US, who gave us a grant for us to start this work, as well as our own personal investments. So I think that there's a lot more billion-dollar companies to come. But a bunch of people have to get off Twitter, stop talking politics, roll up their sleeves, and get to work building a nation.
They'll come for you.
They'll come for you.
Twitter will come for you.
It's okay.
I'm just joking. But these are facts. And I mean, he's replicated these things, so it's important to listen. So from Y Combinator advocate, now you're building a YC for Africa. That's how a paper put it. Fantastic. Well, we'd like to thank you so much. I think it's been a very interesting conversation we've had with you, and this is by no means the end. Hopefully, we'll come from time to time, talk about how we can adopt all of these measures. Inyolo Aboyeji, founding partner, Future Africa, co-founder, Flutterwave. You sold your stakes,
I did. I exited Flutterwave in 2021. Yes.
But you cashed out.
I reinvested.
Smart. So co-founder and Della, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, you can go back, watch this again. But we'll take a moment now on the show, and when we return, we'll turn our attention to the politics of the governance of the politics, whichever way. Stay with us right here on The Morning Brief.
And so Kayode called it the politics of the governance, or the governance of the politics. Whichever way you decide to look at it, there is a politics that determines, how much you buy a basket of tomatoes in the market, how much you buy a bag of rice in the market, and we could go on and on. But let's manage our time and look at the strides of the administration in that area in the last 1 year. And who else to help us with this conversation than the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Felix Morka. Mr. Felix Morka, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning to you.
Let's start with this hula-ballo about the national anthem right now. We have exited Arise, O Compatriot, to Nigeria We Hail Thee. First of all, let's start with you. Can you sing the national anthem, by the way, Mr. Morka?
I can try.
Please try. Make an attempt.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
Wow.
A round of applause. Fantastic. So because of that, you know what? We're going to leave the argument about whether or not it's the appropriate thing to do. And thank you for doing a good job. Mr. Morka, let's start with the unity of the country, as the case may be, which is an important area to look at. Some say that the body language of the administration, especially the presidency and the president, says a lot, about how fast we're moving towards unifying the country or not. And speaking of which, many have looked at the appointments of the administration, particularly federal appointments, and said, look, there still leaves much to be desired. Are we in the Federal Republic of Southwest Nigeria, or really the Federal Republic of Nigeria, when you consider the names of those heading most agencies? EFCC, NCDC, the Customs Service, the Inspector General of Police. Mr. Morka, how do you weigh in on this?
My apologies, I lost you for a moment. I didn't quite hear everything you asked. So if you don't mind, just quickly recap on that question, because I was frozen up. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to summarize it. A critical look at federal appointments and how whether or not it reflects federal character, and the reservations expressed by some that it makes the country look more like it's the Federal Republic of Southwest Nigeria rather than the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much. Look, I think that this president is eminently committed to building the unity of our country, not just in terms of the distribution of roles and responsibilities in terms of appointments, but also in terms of his attentiveness to all of those issues and challenges that often militate against us finding common ground. Now, with respect to your question, I think that, look, I personally, I haven't taken the time to, to run the numbers of the number of appointees from the Southwest versus, the Southeast, or for that matter, the North, West, or North, Central, or the Northeast. I haven't done that. So I'm not sure that I have a clear present sense of any sort of disproportion that your question alludes to. However, I think that these appointments are still ongoing. This government is not done. We have a huge number of still important offices that have yet to be filled, and I'm sure that in time this will balance out. But having said that, let me just remind us that, every time a president is inaugurated, usually, we can argue whether or not it's right or wrong. Usually, you tend to have, people come into offices that are from, his particular part of the country. With Jonathan, we saw that. With, Buhari, with, Yar'Adua and Obasanjo, we saw that. But the point is that, I am certain that with time, given that we still have quite a number of outstanding positions are yet to be filled, I'm sure that, the balancing act will appear probably more equitable and we have more spread, so to speak.
Well, and she had also mentioned some of the government agencies. She had mentioned the police, customs, and the rest. Some of them, like, sequenced in such a way that the heads are from South. But you said you've not taken a look at them, but these are the issues that have been raised. But also, let's turn our attention to another side of this administration's, will I say, how people are rating this administration. And one of them came from the presidential candidate of the PDP, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. In fact, in the statement which he put out, he gave the president 6 sort of advice or pointers to how to navigate this leadership position. And I'll just take first one, because he talked about the sequencing of the policies of this government, and for him said they were not well thought out. And I think that's been a consistent narrative across board. The removal of subsidy, what was meant to come after, how there was meant to be some sort of buffer so that a lot of Nigerians won't feel the impact as much as they are now, because the economic indices, a lot of them are in the red. And this is what he said. He said, first, pause and reflect. It is important that the government understands what reforms must be taken and in what sequence. A framework is needed with clearly stated reform objectives and strategies. I know you've put out a statement to react to that, but would it be too much if the president were to come out and to say, well, Nigerians, yes, we could have done things better in terms of the sequencing of these policies? Is that something that you think the president should come out and first pause and reflect so that you can now carry Nigerians along moving forward?
Yes, I have read the statement by the former vice president and the candidate of the PDP in the last election. I note all of the points he made, but quite frankly, Atiku Abubakar, just like the president, like the other leading candidate, Peter Obi, all promised Nigerians to do the very same thing that this president is doing. Because there is universal consensus that this country cannot sustain all of the distortions and the very false policies that were in play, including the massive hemorrhagic sustainable drain called multiple foreign exchange regimes. Everyone, not just the political leaders, but all of us, locally and internationally, agree that these policies needed to be drastically upturned. That's what this president has done. Now, I think that when Atiku speaks about sequencing, he's simply in denial of the courage that this president demonstrated to tackle head-on these, terrible policies that have completely, been the obstacle to our growth and development. Now, what is sequencing? If you take out the fuel subsidy, how long does it take for the economy to self-correct in order for it to be okay to, tackle the question of the multiple foreign exchange? These policies are not, isolated. They are completely related. What happens in one sector, either helps or undermines the other policy. They are completely interdependent. They're not, like something you do one and then wait, 2 years to do the other. Because while you are waiting, the other is, continuing to do damage to the very objectives you're seeking to accomplish. So what I'm saying is that this president is doing exactly what experts agree is right. Now, I hate to refer to the international, financial, economic, monetary, community, who have consistently hailed the efforts of this president and the courage demonstrated. Kayode, I think that we must, realize that this conversation is happening just at the, end of the first year of this government. The policies we're discussing are policies that are intended in the long term to radically transform the fundamentals of our economic life. So I think that an assessment whether or not these policies have been effective in the 1 year, I think really does not do justice to the essence of the policies themselves. Any elementary economist will tell you that when you're talking about the regime of fuel subsidy, where Nigeria was committing over $10 billion annually to providing subsidy on petroleum products. That's, for an economy of our size, that's remarkable. That's completely unrealistic. And I think that's why the Buhari government abolished that system legally for Asiwaju to implement as it did in that announcement on the day of his inauguration.
Let me just quickly, I understand, but quickly,
yes.
Mr. Morka, pardon me. So this is a point. You've talked about people commending the government from outside there, but inside there, which is the primary, which is what really matters. People outside can say what they can, but it's people here, their opinion and their reality that matters. And this line, I'd like you to respond to it in addition to what you were going to say. He said that President Tinubu's policies do not create prosperity. He talked about the inflation, the headline inflation, not to talk of food inflation, which is over 40%. He has talked about different things. So do you agree or disagree that the president's policy do not create prosperity with what we've seen with the poverty level right now?
You see, again, that's very simplistic of the former vice president. Somebody who has held an office as high as the vice president should be somewhat more realistic, except that he's just, speaking out of what I refer to as, crass political envy in my statement. You see, look, what exactly did he expect if he had taken out the fuel subsidy? What we're seeing, some of the, very transient consequences of the policies we're discussing are inevitable, irrespective of the author of their removal. Whether it was Asiwaju who removed it, or Peter Obi who removed it, or Atiku Abubakar who removed it, we will be having this conversation because there's no other way for it to play. To take out subsidy that was significant in lowering the prices and making the prices bearable for our people, there's no way around it. So I think that, he's been very disingenuous to suggest that, what you're speaking to about the headline inflation and, food inflation and some of the other economic, indices that we're seeing that are obviously very tough on our people. And, I agree that it's tough. The president agrees that it's tough. He, repeats it over and over again that these tough circumstances and outcomes, the temporary outcomes of these policies are inevitable. My point is that we should look in the medium to long term to see the fullness of the wisdom and of the benefits of this. You know what, I'd rather, feel that pain today and, feel the gain, sustainably going forward than to allow the country to simply, fall into a point of no return in terms of, chaos and, complete lack of productivity and growth. In the long term, I think that Atiku Abubakar did not say that in the long term, these policies will inure to the benefit and to the gain of Nigerians. He simply was focusing on a very myopic frame of, analysis, which is, the short term, which no other president even if it was not Asiwaju, would, have any miracle, one, to, transform and prevent. Having said that, you must also recognize that this president is keenly aware and attentive to what our people are going through, which is why, there's a slew of policies and interventions and programs that are meant to, cushion the, biting impact of this short-term, effects of the policies.
All right,
that's what we must look at for an assessment, not the, self-serving analysis of the article of workers.
All right, Mr. Morka, it's true that we must look at the long-term impact. We hope that comes true, because Nigeria is for all of us. Because the concerns of Nigerians most of the time is the fact that this is not the first time promises are made. We've been at this from our independence till today. And Nigeria my father lived in is different from the Nigeria I live in. I hope that the Nigeria my children will live in will be better in Nigeria. That's a prayer for everybody. But leaderships have not demonstrated that things get better, they get worse. The records are there. I can give you the economic data. I have them. But it's our country. We hope it works better. But let's move on to another part of it, which is that has to do with the performance of the ministers of the president. Do you think it is time for the president to look at the cabinet and do a little bit of a shake-up? Some people are saying some of those ministers are docile. Some are saying some ministers are, we can't even remember what their names are, not even know what their functions are at the end of the day. And we have perhaps the biggest cabinet in a long while, 48 initially. I think we have about 45 or so now. Do you agree that it is time to shake up the cabinet of the president so that he gets the results that Nigeria are eager to see from him?
Before I answer the question of the performance of the ministers, you made a very important reflection before you segued into your question. As a veteran civil rights and pro-democracy activist, I hear you. I hear you when you say that Nigerians have been treated to a lot of promises that never materialize. But, but hear me, my brother, and anyone who is listening. This president is not making promises that he will not keep. He's making promises that he wakes up every morning, hoping and believing and working hard to justify. Cynicism is a huge part of the problem we have as a country. But it's understandable because, that cynicism was somewhat constructed by, by the historical, I think, unfolding of, governance in our country. So I can understand why Nigerians remain cynical. But we must also realize that extreme cynicism is also a huge, clear, and present threat to our economic development. Because the government alone cannot do it. The people must, at some level, really allow themselves, even if just naively, to believe that this time things will change. Because no government before now has dealt and delved to this level to tackle the problems that were created generationally at the roots of the problem. That's what this government is doing. To really both face, say, look, you know what, enough is enough. We must go to the roots to tackle it. Having said that, look, the government itself did create a performance evaluation system, which I think is also very commendable because, it's the first time that we are, seeing that, where ministers were, obligated to, report their performance for, evaluation, and ultimately, I think, assessment of how well they've done. It's the first time we're seeing that. So please, I think we should, allow that process to work. I know that the president is not playing when he said, you will be held accountable for your performance. So any minister who has not performed, who has not, I think, allowed himself or herself to reach, the benchmark of the scorecard that this president has set as the standard, the yardstick for measuring effectiveness. Mr. President, who appointed them, alone has the prerogative to decide on what to do. I will not name names, and I will not, overreach that, framework which this president has very smartly introduced. But I think that Nigerians are entitled to expect that at some point the president will evaluate the performance of his ministers and make, the necessary call that is, disclosed by, I think, that framework of assessment.
Well, Mr. Morka, you say cynicism may be unhealthy, but you also have to take into cognizance the fact that this cynicism has built up over many years of failed promises. And in the last 8 years, apart from this extra one, we've had an APC administration as well. But I wonder, okay, we're totally out of time. It's an inexhaustible conversation, but we'd like to thank you very much for being on the program. We hope to have you yet again, such that we can, expand this conversation and get your views more on the administration's disposition towards so many things that Nigerians are saying. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Felix Morka
Thank you for having me this morning. Thank you.
He's the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress.
And good job on singing the national anthem. Good job.
Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you.
Bukola.
Yes, thank you, sir. So up next, we'll look at the softer side of things as one of your favorite Big Brother housemates joins us to talk about life after the reality show. Join us again.
Actor, musician, brand influencer, reality TV star, Soma FX joins us. You saw him there, he's right here with us.
Right here.
Soma, how are you?
I'm very good.
A lot of people don't know you sing.
That is a shame, because that's a shame. But now they know. They better know.
So here's what we'll do, Soma.
Yeah. Oh, no. No.
Now that we know you sing.
No.
It's also sing the national
anthem. Oh, my days.
So what I'll do is I'll supply the lyrics.
Oh, yeah, supply. No,
so
no.
now they're doing the hymn. I'll say the first line. Nigeria will hail thee. We'll sing. Then I'll say the next line.
Okay.
We'll sing it together. And then...
So the thing is, right?
Oh, there you go.
You guys have to give me the melodies too.
I see.
I support the. Well, let's
the
see
old,
what
new, or the new old.
The new old.
The new old.
Yes,
right.
The new old.
And to be fair, this is a reality for a lot of people. Yeah. A lot of people didn't know the old national anthem naturally because they grew up learning. They didn't know the new national anthem because they grew up learning the old national anthem.
It's going to take a lot of.
So, are you ready? Should we do this?
Let's see.
Let's be like Philip Morka.
Okay, so who wants to lead this on this journey?
No, you already started it. To lead it, so let's go.
You started it.
I'm trying to get the lyrics myself.
This was way before I was born.
All right, so let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for this?
We are ready.
Nigeria will be our own dear native land.
We're giving you the rhythm.
No tribe and tongue may differ.
No tribe and
I'm just going to be your cheerleader.
In brotherhood we stand.
Okay.
Nigerians
are
proud to serve.
Our sovereign mother.
Okay, just so you guys know, everybody. Oh my days!
I put you to the test.
No. We have to take. I literally have to.
I
was hailing you guys on the cheerleader here now.
The reason we have to do this is also a learning curve.
Yeah, actually,
for everyone because. It's now a law. It's not something you debate. You can't say I'm not. No, it's a law. Whether you like it or yes, as you've said.
But definitely, I'm going to take my time to
learn it.
To learn it.
So at the end of the show, we'll take it.
So we're giving you the.
I don't have my own.
No, don't worry. I'll give you my tab.
I'll give you the sheet.
We'll be humming it for you. But great one to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Great one to have you on the show. So you've been there twice.
Yes.
Been there, done that. What was the difference?
Well, the first time I stayed for just 2 weeks, and this time
orientation camp.
You know, that's literally what it was for me. And this time, you know, we got close to getting that money. Even if we didn't get the money, we still thank God, because you know.
So what
even
lessons?
if I lose, I win. That's what I always say.
Absolutely.
You know, what lessons have I learned?
But what lessons in strategy did you take from your first appearance to this appearance this time around that made you stay longer?
I wouldn't say I took, because honestly, for me, it wasn't about strategy for me. When I was going into the house the second time, I was like, okay, it's an all-stars season. Everybody's going to be chill. Nobody's going to, like, we already know you. Like, you get me? So I was just there to catch my cruise and be me. You feel me? I don't think I took any, but I learned a lot being in the house. I would say that for a fact. I learned so much being in the house. I learned a lot about strategy. I learned a lot about, I learned a lot actually. I can't explain how much, but I think I was a bit naive before I got into the house this second time. But being in there for the time I spent in there and coming out, a lot's changed about me. I think I'm more mature, I'm more strategic in my planning, and you know, there's a lot of change.
I'll be honest, I didn't know you from Big Brother.
Yeah.
I knew you from my siblings and I. Right?
Yeah.
So Big Brother didn't really change anything. So I'd seen you on my siblings and I thought, wow, this guy is a natural. I love the way you did you carried your role. Yeah. So I forgot that it was even a sitcom.
Yeah.
Do we do sitcoms in Nigeria?
We
describe it as a sitcom?
No, we don't describe it as a sitcom though.
Series.
Yeah, it's a series.
Okay, there you go. So
comic series.
Right. So I thought this guy is a great guy. So you going to Big Brother for you, was that like a stepping stone? Because I know a lot of people say, I want to just appear, even if for 2 days, once I go on Big Brother, I would blow. So was that the case for you as well? Because for me, as I said, it didn't quite make much. The first time or the second time? I think for both times, it really did a lot for me. You had been on My Siblings and I was on Big Brother first, the first time. Right. Then I was on My Siblings and I for like the whole, like, so 4 years, running on 5 years. You were on another... And I was on MTV Sugar as well. There you go. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Big Brother did a lot for me. I think that's one of the biggest platforms in Africa. If you want to be seen and you want to put yourself out there, it's one of the biggest platforms, and it did a lot for me. There's more visibility now. You know, it's easier to get into some rooms. You know, like look at me, I'm right here on channels, sitting down with you guys. I watch you guys on TV every morning. You're telling us where we're supposed to go. That's fair enough. Fair enough. You know, yeah, it's been a huge stepping stone for me. You know, and every day I always give my thanks to the organizers for actually remembering to call me. You know, because yeah. I was one of the first to leave in my season, and my season was about 7 years ago. So imagine
that's the first season, right?
First season, the one FA1. So imagine them thinking, Soma. Let's call Soma. And it wasn't a case where you have to re-audition. They picked people who they thought were going to, you know, spice up the show. And I don't think they regret picking me though, because like, brought the spice. I brought the spice and the tatache.
So Jeffrey was saying earlier that a lot of people do not know you, and maybe that is true.
No, for music.
For musically, yes,
Yeah.
Jeffrey. Maybe that is true also, that many do not know that your mom, too, is a singer.
Yes.
And she's, in fact, the Omalicha Queen from the early 2000s.
It's actually way earlier than that, actually. 90s, actually.
Is that the song?
Yes.
Your
mother sang that song?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, so what was growing up around that kind of musical environment like, and you know, how much did she also nurture your acting career?
Yeah.
Because I read that you also started acting as a kid.
Yeah, so my mom actually studied theatre arts in the University of Port Harcourt. Yeah, she's a crabite, is what we call them. So obviously, I think I'm a pedigree basically. You get me. My mom comes from a line of also entertainers as well. My granddad was an engineer, but then he loved music. Growing up around my mom obviously influenced me a lot. Obviously, you know, music, just being in the entertainment space. You know, she had a band, and we always used to rehearse with her. My birthday was a few weeks ago. When she came into the spot where we were having a brunch, because she surprised me with my sister, the first thing we did or sing as a family, because that's also something we always do, you know.
Amazing.
Me, myself, my dad, my mom. My dad is late now, he's so rest in peace, but it used to be lovely being at home with us. Our neighbors used to love the fact that we were living there, because every evening,
free show
vibes, like vibes. Yeah, but my mom really influenced me, you know, in the best ways, and she is a wonderful mom, actually, one of the best moms. She's considered a cool mom, a typical cool mom. That's my mom.
She's not a typical Nigerian mother.
No, she's not. She's not. She has her, their trappings, but then she's a cool mom.
Let's talk about your relationship. When you went to the house this time and we saw you relating with Angel.
Yeah.
Normally people are like, okay, they are in an enclosed space. This team is going to blow off.
Yeah.
Eventually, we saw you guys. You're still together, right?
Yeah, we are. We are together.
No, it's a straight question.
It's
not complicated.
Oh, we're together. We're together.
In what sense of together?
In the sense of together that you mean.
It's like in a relationship.
Yes, we are. We are. You know. We're good.
We'll not let you go, you know.
We
are together too.
We are together. We're together right now.
So, are you in a relationship with Angel as we speak?
I feel like there are other more important stuff to talk about right now.
Right.
Okay.
So your love life is not important?
No, my love life is important, but I like to keep my love life private. I've seen how the public sort of influences, and you know, so I've come to the point where I feel like
you said that you are ready, and I was just reading that you are ready to what? You are ready to start your family next year. That was in 2023. So Monday 2023.
Family has started now. It's like
yeah, but we saw you guys do, you know, that brand video for a particular. I don't want to mention the brand now, and you guys look really cozy and chummy.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, we look cozy like that.
Cozy like
the
that.
way the three of you are just eyeballing me, I'm like.
The reason I was actually asking the questions was because when people have seen Angel before, and they have a perception of her, and they have a perception of you, and then seeing both of you together, they're like, can Soma handle Angel? Whatever that meant, maybe you'll be able to explain. Maybe there's Soma is too calm, and Angel likes maybe a certain kind of guys. You know, I don't know what that means. So, were you faced with those kind of challenges even in the house and outside the house? Did you get that feeling that people felt like, guy, this may not last?
Everybody has their opinions of, you know, they have their opinions they think they know. And people think they know people from watching them on the screen, but you can never fully know somebody except you spend time with the person.
Exactly.
You know, so about Angel and looking at her in a certain light, I think you need to get to know someone personally before you start making assumptions about them and their lives, basically.
Yeah, the reason, that's why I asked the question, so that you that is close to her will be able to maybe debunk all of that, because this is our perception of people, which is their own reality. Bukola.
Well, let's leave that, you know, let's pardon, let's have mercy on Soma.
Nigeria,
maybe we can pick it up again later on. But let's talk about your musical career. You recently enthused about how your song was used on America's Got Talent.
Yes, it was.
Talk to us about, you know, how that is helping further your musical interests.
Well, I've gotten a few calls and emails from producers out of Nigeria, you know, that are willing to work with me, and that's quite nice. I literally was shocked when I saw my music on America's Got Talent. I was like, how the, like,
what's going on?
How did you guys, like, you know, it was mad. It was mad. And yeah, of course, it has opened a few doors for me, and I'm quite glad about that.
So you had no hand in it?
I said I did not even know. They sent me videos. See, someone they use your jamo. No video sing with this. I said I'm me, now my song with this. How they use get up? I don't know.
It's quite weird. Yeah. Watching you and listening to you now, you have a Burna Boy feel.
I do.
I don't know if people have told you before.
I have been told that 2 million times. I just tell them that I'm a final version of Burna. You know,
say that loud.
A final version. A final.
You go explain it.
Maybe I don't go find you.
But truth be told, you have that. There's that tone, the texture of your
my voice.
You get it, and the look as well. But it's quite ironic that you have a cat.
Okay, so that cat is actually Angel's cat that I got it for her. But why do you have that smirk on your face? You know, but yeah, it's that's Stormy. Stormy, what's up? Are you watching this, Stormy?
So there is a thing about people who
have cats,
who are sort of cat people.
I love animals generally. Actually,
like,
yes,
because it takes a certain personality, certain patience, humility
to
own a cat.
Yeah,
dogs are like, and they come for you, but cats are very proud.
Yeah,
they're very bossy. They own the house, you know. They're not paying rent.
So I think people have a misconception, right?
Right.
If you have an animal, you train animals the same way you train your dog. You know, my cat listens to sit, come, stop. Yeah, she knows all that. So tell Stormy, come here, she's going to come. Stormy, sit, she's going to sit. No, she's going to stop whatever she's doing.
Really?
Yeah.
But so revenge?
No, it's revenge where?
You don't know that thing that they will wait for you. You do something to a cat and the cat waits for you. Then attacks you.
She is well behaved and well trained.
That's like, your cat needs to run for office.
She does.
There you go.
That's Stormy, baby.
Because it's not usual in Nigeria. People are not really cat people. They think cats are
evil.
Well, you said it.
But they are not. Cats are lovely. Cats are easier to take care of because you do not even have to clean after them. They know what to do. Okay, so obviously you have to potty train them, you know that. But like they are smart. They are really smart, and they're actually smarter than people give them credit for.
They are stealth a lot.
Yeah,
well, quite stealth. I'm very.
Okay, I've had my fair share of experience.
So let's talk about the acting. As you said, I think in acting that's where I actually saw you first. I saw you in Big Brother, of course. But I saw you in My Siblings and I. How much of expansion are you looking forward to going forward? Because we've seen people stay with series. I don't know whether they are comfortable with just staying with series or they don't have opening in big screen and all of that. Everybody has their own thing. So what exactly is it going to be for you? How much of cinema are you pursuing to do? And what kind of roles? Because there are people that they want to act anything. But there are certain people that say, I would like to, not like I want to be stereotyped, but I like this kind of role.
I love what you said there. I do not want to be stereotyped. But is there a particular role I'd love to act? I think I'd like to do something I haven't done. Maybe something sinister, something dark. I think everybody sees me and it was, I think he's going to fine boy role. Let him be a lover boy. Oh, he's the humble guy in the series. Or he's the funny one because I can make the best comic faces. Trust me, But I would love to be in something sinister and dark. Just be dark. Yeah.
Okay. How dark do you want to go?
Very dark. Darker than my skin.
Dark.
You brought that in.
Very dark.
Very dark man.
I was going to say that.
I know what to say. You came out of my mouth.
We have just 60 seconds before we go. And just to follow up to Jeffrey's question, I know that you say that you don't want to be stereotyped, but I wonder how realistic that is, because if you count the number of, thespians off of the cuff of your head, you can identify them with a particular role.
Kind of
Ramsey Noah was mostly the lover boy, less of the bad guy. The old Alex Osifo-Miagu was more of the bad guy. RMD more of the lover boy through much of the movies. So how realistic is that disposition of thespians that, look, I don't want to be stereotyped?
Well, it depends on how, at the end of the day, you have to be, what's the word now? You have to know what you want, basically, and you have to be intentional. Sometimes you have to turn down roles because, I played bad boy. I think I just switch. I get on that bad boy role. Let's chill on this one and look for something different. You have to be intentional about the kind of roles you pick and not give them too much of the same thing, because when you give them too much of the same thing and then they say, we die here with this nigga. I'm sorry, oh my God. We die here with this guy. I'll put you in the box. I'm so sorry. But yeah.
That's the spice that they wanted to see on Big Brother Nigeria, right?
But yeah, obviously you have to be intentional about the roles you take, and you need to stop.
I'm sorry, I love the way you approached it. You just became humble all of this.
No, it's beautiful to see that he knows what he did.
And it's real.
So, I've said it. But I take it back nonetheless.
I was going to speak to something, and it's a bit personal.
Yeah.
Jennifer
Funke Akindele has come under flack from time to time.
Yeah.
People who've worked with her, some people say, she's this kind of boss. But you've worked closely with her. Do you think those comments about her are unfair?
I think everybody has their perception of, I can't relate to what they are saying because I've never been treated in any like that manner. I've never seen her slap somebody, so I can't relate to that. Funke Akindele to me is one of the nicest people I know, one of the sweetest people I know. She's so lovely, but when she's working, she's working. So don't come and play around with her time. She might switch up on you, get upset, obviously, because that is business for you. I can be the nicest person, right? But where my money is at stake and my time is at stake, please don't be serious. Don't play with me. And that's what it's supposed to be. You need to have that mindset for you to actually, and you can see how successful she is. You have to have the mindset of work is work time. Not because I'm laughing with you guys. I think that's the case here because she's very jovial and always laughing. They just expect her to just be, even when you're messing up, she's not going to do that. I don't think any reasonable person is going to do that. If you mess up and I'm Miss Natasha's guy, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to straighten you real quick. There
you go.
Yeah.
So we still have to sing the national anthem.
Yes, that's the last bit. So
You this
Nigeria, we hail thee. I got the first line, right?
Do you want the lyrics?
Let's look at it.
So we'll sing the first stanza. Okay. We'll end with our sovereign motherland. There are 3 stanzas. But we'll end with our sovereign
here goes.
Are you ready?
I think what we should do is each of us should sing one line. I'll start.
Okay.
No problem.
Makes sense.
Okay. Makes sense. Are you ready?
No, you're our guest, so let's give you the honor.
Okay.
We'll take 2, I'll take 1, then we'll take it around. So take first 2 lines.
Oh dear.
Harry, hold on.
We have to look for the lyrics now.
I love it. Let's go.
Let's do this.
Are we ready?
1, 2, go.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own their native land.
Okay, sing another part. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand.
You changed the key.
I did. Okay, one last time.
No,
we have to do this right
we've done it.
No, all of it. Don't worry.
For the nation.
So I'll see the lyrics.
Do you mind if I share it?
It's like the hymn in the church. 1, 2, go.
Nigeria.
Okay, let's choose a key. Alright, Soma, let's choose your key.
Nigeria, we hail thee. Let's go.
Nigeria, we hail thee.
My bad. Okay, let's go.
1, 2, go.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. I think I'm liking this now. Nigerians are proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
Okay, we should have stood. We should have stood.
Final take, Nanja.
Final take.
1, 2,
go. Final.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians are proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Soma FX, actor, singer, brand influencer,
model,
reality TV star, model, fine boy that wants to go track.
Starting a family this year.
Let's go. Thank you so much for coming.
I claim it.
I want to be the bad guy in the movies.
Well, we have to wrap up now. It's been a fun time on the Morning Brief, Jeffrey.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Jeffrey Osama.
Of course, we'll be back again tomorrow with another fantastic edition of the program. I am Bukola Koka.
God bless Nigeria. I'm Kayode Kikilu. Sunrise Daily is next, so stay with Channels Television.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.